Joining us now from Traverse City is the Public Relations Manager of Traverse City Tourism, Mike Kent, back with us again on the Megacast. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, it's always my pleasure. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you as well. So we're in an interesting time of the year where we're getting a little bit cooler, a little less humid, but still nice, sunny, and warm here in the state of Michigan. That means it still is a great time to go to Traverse City and spend some time there in a great city and have a lot of fun. What can people do at this time of the year as we're heading into the end of the summer? We're in the dog days of summer and heading into fall in Traverse City.
Yeah, still a lot of summer left. This really is my favorite time of the year. The weather, as you mentioned, is glorious. I know I had a call from my brother over the weekend in California, and he was hitting at 100, and we were sitting, in the lower 70s, and just felt refreshing and wonderful outside. A lot of people at the beaches and going swimming and that type of thing. So everything that is summer is out there, but yet there is more. I mean, yes, we are getting into a change of season. We are in. A big thing that's been happening here in the last few years really has been agritourism, with people giving their attention to what goes on in the preparation of their food. So whether it's going on tours of cherry farms or whatever, well, now we start seeing the fruits of their labor. So we start seeing a lot of farmers markets, and I know you've got them in the Detroit area too, but they pop up all over the place, whether it's in Traverse City on both Wednesdays and Saturdays, or, we've got them in Benzonia, we've got them in Leelanau County. And you see just the freshness of the fruits and vegetables. And I know my wife absolutely loves it. She makes, jam out of everything, whether it's, cherries or blueberries or strawberries. She went out with our grandson picking strawberries and made preserves out of that, and it's wonderful. So there is a freshness that is here. And yes, quite frankly, this time of year and going into September, there's a lot of sunshine, there's a lot of perfect weather. And we saw that over the weekend. I was at a wedding over the weekend, and oh my goodness, I saw this glorious sunset. And it was right next to a harbor. So you had all these boats beautifully lit up. A lot going on, so with everything outdoors. But then we also have some events coming up too. We've got Ironman that's taking place on September 11th over in Frankfurt. Second time it's going to be in the Frankfurt area, and it was a huge success and huge draw last year. It had been held in Traverse City for a number of years, and the first time we moved it to Frankfurt, and it was so well received by the community, the locals, and the visitors alike, who just had an absolute blast with, it's essentially a triathlon, and huge crowds that turned out for that. So a lot of special events that are going on. A lot of our wineries, for example, are having wine tasting with meals and pairings with local fresh food. You have got restaurants up here that are farm to table, like Farm Club. I think we've talked about that before, if I recall correctly. And, it's fresh when you can see the vegetables growing right out, literally past the table that you're at. You can see that. So this is a fun time of year. This is, some people can't make it because they're getting ready to take their kids to school or getting ready for back to school. But boy, those who can travel up here, whether it's on the weekend or especially during the week, this really is a glorious time of year.
It is. It's a great place to go for a little bit of everything. You have so many different areas of interest that can be covered in Traverse City all throughout different times of the year. And you mentioned just even in neighboring areas, you have so many different things that you can do in the Traverse City area and in the city proper in the summer and beyond. One of the favorites as you head into more of the fall side of the year, we're just 2 weeks away at this point from Labor Day, when, of course, there's the annual Mackinac Bridge Labor Day Walk. It's coming up very shortly. How is the anticipation for that going at this time, and the planning and finishing of that, and getting ready in Traverse City to participate in one of these great Northern Michigan traditions?
It's interesting that you bring that up. That's really outside of our area, but it's really not. When the people come from the Detroit area, they think of up north. They think of Traverse City as up north. So that's all inclusive of everything. And Petoskey and Charlevoix. And so, we collaborate with them. We collaborate with Mackinac Island and that type of thing. So there will be a lot of people that'll come to Traverse City and take the hour and a half drive up to the bridge and do the bridge walk. And they've had to make changes over the last couple of years, in part because of security and in part because of COVID. But it's great to see them back, and it's great to see the people that come up to northern Michigan. And I know I've done that walk a number of times with my family. It's just a lot of fun. How often do you get to walk on the Mackinac Bridge when it's closed to pedestrian traffic every other day of the year? And so it's unique to be able to stand on the bridge and look down on the grate and see hundreds of feet below you the Straits of Mackinac. And then you look above you and you see the north and the south towers. The kids absolutely love it. And I know they've had some changes on direction. You want to make you don't want to show up at the last minute. You want to make sure you get either to St. Ignace or Mackinac City well in advance of when you plan to cross. And they do have set times where if you haven't started your cross across the Mackinac Bridge, then you're not going to be allowed to go. So it requires a little bit of planning, well worth it, especially a wonderful family event. And yes, we do get people that stop here in Traverse City, either going up there or coming down. It is a wonderful annual tradition.
We're joined by Mike Kent. He is the public relations manager for Traverse City Tourism, joining us on the Megacast. More information on Traverse City Tourism, all the great things happening in Traverse City and the local area there all throughout the year can be found at traversecity.com. Traversecity.com is your place to go to find all this different information, including places to stay, certain events you can attend, and things coming up in Traverse City and cool things going on in the area all throughout the year. Again, traversecity.com is the website for that. In terms of this summer, how has it been for the tourism industry and the affected industries affected by tourism in the Traverse City area, especially considering, well, last summer we were still getting out and about, and despite COVID-19, it was a different time. This summer, it seemed like people were much more comfortable with it. There seemed to be a lot more of a relaxed demeanor going into travel in the state of Michigan. How did that affect Traverse City?
There's a lot of enthusiasm with travel. We have talked, I think, last time about the pent-up demand. And we've been watching the numbers pretty closely. What we can say is, yeah, the travel has come back. It's not back to pre-pandemic levels. Part of that is a situation of making sure that the hotels and that, excuse me, have the staffing available to them. The other part simply is, there's so much that's up in the air. So, yes, a lot of our festivals were back. Cherry Festival is back in full swing. The film festival is back in full swing. The numbers were slightly down, and we have a ways to go to recover from the pandemic. We're not there yet. It was still a very good year. What we're hearing from both our hotel properties and our affiliated members, so a lot of the wineries and the restaurants and that, is that overall it has been a great summer. We still have more to go, and that's one of the big things that we emphasize is, this used to be just a summer season here in Traverse City. It's not anymore. It's a year-round season. So we're heading into the fall colors, and we'll have a lot of people that will show up and do the M22 drive or Old Mission Peninsula drive and just see the fall colors. Always great to see. Wintertime, we got downhill skiing and snowmobiling and cross-country skiing and winter and snowshoeing. A lot of activity going on there. In the spring times, we got the spring blossoms when the cherry trees all come alive with the blossoms. So yeah, bottom line is good year. Every time I go downtown, and we're just a block from downtown, so I get there on a regular basis, a lot of crowds, a lot of interest in whether it's shopping downtown or attending, one of the many events that we have, a lot of interest in that. But we're not fully recovered. From what I'm seeing from numbers around the state, I think that's true nearly every other community in the state of Michigan. We're probably faring better than most, and a lot of it is because we're not as heavily dependent upon convention traffic or meetings, that type of thing. We have plenty of it up here, but not like some of the other cities in the state. A lot of ours is leisure travel, and this is as we've talked before, it's a beautiful area. And so this becomes a priority for people. They've come up here for generations, and they want their kids to be exposed to Traverse City also. So we see a lot of that.
Mike, we're heading into the fall season. One of the hallmarks of fall in Michigan, and one of the hallmarks of fall travel, especially in Michigan, is people that like to explore the foliage all throughout the state of Michigan. And Traverse City, if people want to go a little bit further north in the state of Michigan and explore some of the foliage, maybe before the southern parts of the state start to see that, when can they expect to usually throughout the time of the year to see Traverse City start to change colors and explore the city during that time of the year?
It's always tricky because it's so dependent upon the weather, and it's so dependent on how hot it is and how much rain you get. I can tell you that just driving around northern Michigan, and I drove between here and the Petoskey area over the weekend, and you can already start to see a little tinge of color on the trees. So it's happening now, and that's not unusual. Mid-August, you start seeing those tinges. When will you see it in full bore? Usually the end of September, the beginning of October. Again, it's so dependent on the weather. And you already talked about the website. We keep track of the fall colors and the spring blossoms. So traversity.com is a good place to see how things are changing, and when is a good time to head on up here. The reality is, anytime between now and mid-October, it's well worth the trip. Whether it's the fall colors, or, as I said, the transition in season, when you still have plenty of blue skies and plenty of sunshine, not as much rain that you might see in other parts of the year, and hopefully no snow for a while. We can wait till the winter months for the snow to show up.
We're joined by Mike Kent, the Public Relations Manager for Traverse City Tourism, joining us on the Megacast. More information on everything happening in Traverse City can be found at traversity.com, traversity.com for more information. Mike, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that people should be keeping an eye out for, or maybe mark their calendars for coming up in Traverse City?
Well, let's talk about some of the events. I got my handy dandy little cheat sheet here, if you don't mind me making reference to that. Okay, a couple of things. I know last time we talked about the new Boardman Loop Trail. Trail that goes around the lake that's in Traverse City. They're having a ribbon cutting on that on the 19th. So that's just in a couple of days. You've got in Frankfurt, you've got the collector car show on the 20th of this month. Polka Fest. Yeah, Polka Fest. You got to love it. I'm part Polish, so I get it. Yes. That's in Cedar on the 25th. We already talked about Ironman. That's on September 11th. And you know what? And I think we talked about this a little bit before, but we talked about being able to take the chairlift up at Crystal Mountain and take down 6 different bike rides. Well, when we start getting into the colors, they also have that chairlift to be able to go up to the top of the mountain and see the fall colors. And it's really a unique perspective, because you see this long, vast array of colors in front of you, and it's a really fun thing to do. And then just quickly, I want to mention that September 28th is Pride Week in the Traverse City area. And that's an event that, oh my goodness, when they first started like a Pride March, there would be like a couple hundred people that showed up for it. Last time, now that was pre-pandemic, I think they had 6,000 people in the Pride March. So a lot of activities that are surrounding around that too. So the week of September 28th is when that's going on. A lot of activities going on. We're not done with summer yet. And this transition into fall, just gorgeous area to come to the Traverse City area.
It's always a good time up in Traverse City. Mike, appreciate your time. Thanks.
Oh, my pleasure.